BlinkIt is all over the news.
BlinkIt is now more valuable than Zomato.
BlinkIt reported over 2,300 crore rupees in revenue.
When they now speak about Zomato, they speak about BlinkIt.
BlinkIt is actually bigger than Zomato right now.
With a valuation of roughly $13 billion and a market share of 46%, it has disrupted India's 23,000 crore quick commerce industry. A company that Zomato acquired in 2022 to enter into quick commerce, but now has become more valuable than Zomato's own food delivery business. In fact, the company 3x its revenue from 800 crores to 2300 crores and is expected to break even in the first quarter of FY 2025. So let's dive into the insights that BlinkIt has cracked well. But before we do that, let's also understand how actually a quick commerce player like BlinkIt makes money and what actually are the economics of this business. And to understand this, we went through multiple reports, including ones by JM Financial, JP Morgan, and even Citi. See, to understand this properly, you need to split the business into revenue side and cost side. We'll not only break down the elements in each category, but also talk about the amount of each of these line items. And not just that, we'll also do an estimate of what an average revenue and an average cost amount looks like for every order. By the way, this is going to be detailed, so feel free to pause the video wherever you feel confused. First of all, let's take a realistic average order value of 600 rupees, which is very close to what most people usually order on BlinkIt. If you look at the revenue side, which is the money that BlinkIt earns here for themselves from each order, is divided into three sources. The first one is warehousing services and marketplace commissions. This is basically the amount that suppliers are paying to BlinkIt for showing and selling their products. And see, on every order of 600 rupees, 11 to 13% is coming from suppliers, which is roughly 72 rupees. Now, the second part of the income of this order is the ads that companies show on BlinkIt. This is the price that brands pay to show their products above other products as you scroll the app. For example, Brew might pay to show its coffee first when someone searches for a keyword like coffee. It's roughly 2.3 to 3.5%. In our case, let's take 3.5% and it will come down to 21 rupees. The next is customer fees, which includes your delivery fees, handling fees for packaging and delivering the food to your doorstep, and even additional fees like fees they charge you for having a small cart. This percentage comes at around 3% of the average order value and is roughly 18 rupees in our case. By the way, there are also other levers like membership plans or free delivery plans that these platforms try to sell you often. Like Zepto does it with their offering of Zepto Pass. But if we don't overcomplicate and dive much deeper into this, we'll see that in a nutshell, on an average order of 600 rupees, BlinkIt earns roughly 110 rupees. This 110 rupees is known as a take rate, the share that BlinkIt keeps for itself from an order. Now let's come down to the cost side. Even here, you have four elements. The first one is the biggest one, which is the last mile delivery cost, which is the last step when the riders deliver the orders to you and cost about roughly 7% to BlinkIt. And in our case, it would come down to 42 rupees. The next one is dark store, mid-mile, and warehousing cost. This entire combination of cost comes down to about 6.5%, and in our case, it would be 39 rupees. The other variable cost, which includes packaging, wastage support, communication, and payment charges, are roughly 2%, which comes down to 12 rupees. And now the fourth and the last one is customer acquisition cost, which is the discount, the incentives and the offers they try to give you to make tempting deals for you. This comes at about 0.2 to 0.3% at about 1.8 rupees. So if you subtract these two amounts, BlinkIt earned roughly 15 rupees from entire transaction. This 15 rupees is not the net profit, by the way, but the contributing profit. Now, what is that? See, contributing profit is the profit that the company is earning by serving each order, and company considers only the variable expenses in this case, which is the expense that we have already discussed. And it does not mean net profit because there are so many fixed expenses that are not considered, like expensive salary of tech folks, rent, insurance, depreciation, and all similar big sums of money. BlinkIt is now contribution margin positive. And it is not just BlinkIt that is considering contribution margin as a metric, because even other industry players consider this. Now this brings me to the very first insight, the scale insight. But before we get into that, I have the ultimate free resource for you. The resource is a structured growth strategy on how Zepto can crack revenue-led growth. This document not only lays down solid foundations on topics like business model, ICPs, and market size estimation for the company, but also goes deep into the four main levers company can use to crack revenue-led growth. You can grab this resource in the description and it's completely free for our YT fam. Now coming back to the scale insight. See, at the very core, the fundamental of any business is to get closer to more customers to scale and get more revenue. And as a quick commerce giant like BlinkIt, how do you scale? For example, how do you make sure that customers in Indiranagar, JP Nagar and Koramangala are getting the orders? And not just that, how do you make sure that these customers are getting the orders within 15 to 20 minutes? The answer to this is the dark stores, the 2,500 to 4,000 square feet big stores that are located in 1.5 to 3 kilometer radius near your homes to ensure super quick delivery. And by the way, these stores are super big. For example, if your nearest Kirana shop has about 1,500 SKUs, these stores can have 4x the number of SKUs. In fact, a highly efficient dark store can do a better gross merchandise value per square foot than a highly organized supermarket like DMart. So while a dark store or BlinkIt can do a GMV of 90,000 rupees per square foot, DMart can only do a GMV of 47,000 rupees per square foot. But how does this work? See, these stores are like supermarkets but have no walk-ins, which means that only rider can go and collect stuff from there. These stores have a lot of inventory that comes from a mother warehouse store which is located in the outskirts. So to give you context, for every 40 dark stores located in the city, there is always a mother warehouse which is located at the outskirts of city, and that is more than 10 times big as a dark store, which is about 20,000 to 1,75,000 square feet big. It is super huge. And companies don't set dark stores everywhere, by the way. They are smartly set based on multiple parameters like average household income of the area, peak time traffic of the area, infrastructure of the area, and also the population density. Also, there's usually about a staff of 25 to 30 people who are working in 3 shifts in these dark stores who would take care of the packaging. And as we've discussed earlier as well in the video, that the operating cost for a dark store comes at about rupees 22 for each order. And if you want to understand this calculation better, we have put it here so you can pause the video and look at this table. Now BlinkIt has done a really solid job here, as they have right now the highest number of dark stores with 451 stores in 27 cities compared to 450 stores of Instamart in 25 cities, 330 of Zepto in 10 cities, and 350 stores of Big Basket in 35 cities. By the way, this is not something they built in a day, because it was the first grocery app in the country which started in 2014 as GrowthX. So their team and their execution is way more experienced if you compare them with other competitors. And now they're just building on this and increasing their penetration throughout the country. By the way, they're mostly penetrated in North and East India, and 90% of the GMV comes from top 8 cities. But as they enter South and other cities, this can be a huge opportunity for them, as they already have an experienced DNA running in the organization. Now coming down to the second insight, which is cracking high average order value. But why are we talking about AOVs? Average order value plays a big role in quick commerce, because bigger the average order value, bigger is the contribution margin for the company, which means that delivering just a set of bananas or apples is less profitable for BlinkIt than delivering a set of bananas, apples, onions, tomatoes, and a packet of bread together. And BlinkIt has the highest average order value if you compare it with all the competitors. And just look at the stark difference by yourself. For Big Basket, the AOV is about 400 to 500 rupees. For Zepto and Instamart, it is around 450 plus. And for BlinkIt, AOV is about staggering 635 rupees. This is something that has definitely given them an edge in pulling one of the most important levers in the ecosystem. In fact, in the last quarter, this number was 523 rupees at the start of Q1 FY23. This just shows the speed at which they are growing really fast. And they have done this really well through their amazing SKU strategy. See, every quick commerce player has been bullish on adding more variety to their SKU mix, be it apparel, sports gear, jewelry, watches, or even other technical stuff. In fact, Zepto has even launched a Zepto cafe within the app now. Everyone is getting super creative. And you must have noticed it yourself, right? Whenever you open a quick commerce app, you literally see a lot of stuff that you were earlier thinking of buying only from Amazon. And if you look at BlinkIt, they almost have the highest number of SKUs, which is similar to Zepto and Big Basket at about 6,000 to 6,500 mark. But what they have done really well is the way they have positioned their platform. They have played with the psychology of their customers with their super bold initiatives like getting an iPhone in 10 minutes or getting the latest PS5 in 10 minutes. In fact, when they launched the PS5 campaign, the entire Twitter went buzzing and people had a lot of polarizing views like this. But in the end, the idea was simple. Create buzz, position yourself as a one-stop marketplace, get more customers, and get current customers to order more, which is a brilliant strategy. This is where the positioning play, having iPhone or PS5, is a masterstroke, because customers would open their app for more variety and options, because customers know that if an app can have PS5 or iPhone, that app would have everything. So while brands like Zepto focus on giving 20 to 40 rupees passes that would make your delivery fee go away, BlinkIt has focused on positioning, and you can see that in the numbers as well. So while the active users for BlinkIt stand at about 32 million for the month of January, for Zepto it's only about 22 million. And obviously this is also supported by increasing consumption and per capita trends in the country. And to give you a macro view, there's still a huge runway in the industry, because despite the increasing number of users who use quick commerce apps, the monthly transacting users for quick commerce in the country is still 1/3 of what it is for online food delivery and 1/4 of what it is for online cabs. Not talking about the third insight, new customer acquisition. See, BlinkIt's market share has not been the highest forever. It was 32% in 2022. And in the same period, Instamart's market share has fallen from 52%, while Zepto's has increased from 15 to 28%. And we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the Zomato effect. See, Zomato is the biggest food delivery app that has more than 100 million active users every month on its app, and a market share of more than 56% when it comes to food delivery. These users are more than 3 times what BlinkIt has at the moment. So even getting 5% of Zomato's monthly active users as new customers could bring more than 33% rise to their current MAU base. In fact, since the acquisition, Zomato has added a BlinkIt access button on the bottom left of their app that you can see anytime you open the app. The idea is simple. Even if a fraction of Zomato's customers think about ordering groceries, they don't have to do an effort to go into another app. And this could be a game changer for BlinkIt, as it could open doors for new customers in the company. And now you must be wondering why Zomato does not integrate both of these apps. Zomato has deliberately kept 2 apps different because the company believes that the super brands run better in the country than super apps. By the way, super apps are the apps that have everything on the same platform, be it finance or be it ordering food, like WeChat in China. And even Zomato knows that BlinkIt's brand name is strong, because they have created this brand trust by staying in the game for more than 10 years. In fact, what would be really interesting to see is how many of the users have been there with them since their Growthers era, a time when customers had to order more and had to also wait 90 minutes to get their deliveries. I guess that's the number that we would never be able to find out. So these were the 3 insights that BlinkIt has cracked beautifully, and how they can continue to retain the throne of being the quick commerce leaders of the country. Do let us know in the comments which businesses to break down next. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.